Well, g'day hobbyists and welcome back to the Hobby Podcast, where we explore all things related to TCGs and passions from trading cards and pop culture, everything in between. My name is Dean Alsop, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, the Colonel, Lee Kearns.
How are you, Dino?
What's cooking good looking?
Mate, I'm so excited for today's episode.
Today's guest episode is going to be amazing.
It's good. Do you know why? Because I still haven't got many fab wins. So I'm sitting here still just absolutely struggling to get a win together.
Same old Leroy.
But having this interview planned today, it's taken away all of that pain.
Super excited for today's guest. But before we get into that, it would be remiss of us to not touch on the official release of Disney Lorcana in Australia has happened recently. And it has gone, as I said, from here to here, absolutely blown up because we can actually get our hands on it. It's not importing it from overseas. You can go to your local game store. Well, you could. It's pretty much all gone now. But I think we are getting a small restock. And then every 2 weeks after that, we're going to get the next set. So we got Floodborn, Inklands, and Ursula's Return to Come. And then set 5 in August, and we'll catch up with the rest of the world. So I'm super, super stoked.
It's a moment in time that no one else is going to experience. Every 2 weeks, we get a new card set.
Yeah.
Yes, we've imported cards boxes before, but this is, to your point, in card stores. We can go on live stream and crack these packs for people.
It basically means every fortnight you get to go to your local game shop or your local game store and play in a pre-release tournament.
Yeah.
Or a sealed deck. You get the sealed theme deck and you get one booster pack and you get to build a deck out of that and play and learn new mechanics and everything. And that's what we did with First Chapter. That's what's coming next week with Floodborn. It's just a really good time to be alive and very relevant because today's guest is a crucial part in the worldwide development of Disney Lorcana and its growth. And we are super excited to have her on.
Yeah, she is. This conversation is going to be one that is going to stand the test of time.
Well, let's stop mucking around then, Colonel. All right, let's just get into it. I'm going to hand it over to you to introduce our amazing guest for today's episode.
It is my absolute pleasure to welcome our special guest today. She's an e-caster, a streamer. She's an author. She also has 2 degrees in both law and psychology and currently studying her master's at the moment. She loves all things Disney Lorcana. It's Thea Booysen.
Woo! Hello, guys. Thanks for having me. That was quite the introduction. It's my favorite, actually.
He did well, didn't he? I feel like he covered all bases.
I'm not going to lie. I looked in the mirror a few times in the bathroom trying to get it right. I still think I butchered it a little bit.
No, I think you did. I think you did really well.
Yeah. Well, Thea, we're really excited to have you today to talk all things Disney Lorcana. But I think it'll be really great for our viewers to get to know you a little bit. So before we get into all the TCG related excitement, tell us the question we've all been wanting to know. What's it like growing up on the greatest continent in the world with all those exotic animals?
South Africa?
South Africa.
Wow. Nobody's ever said that about my country. I'm going to blush. It's amazing. Honestly, we've got so much natural flora and fauna. You only notice it when you leave, the lack of it in many places you go. So, I mean, we've got like the big 5, I believe, of animals in the Kruger National Park. We have forests and we have natural parks everywhere. So, yeah, it's quite mountainous too. I've noticed foreigners like to say that a lot. Because here in the States, it's all flat. There really isn't much. Not that I'm trying to start any drama here. We're just objectively prettier.
Yeah. No, I would, I mean, I haven't had the privilege of being to South Africa myself, but, you know, I've seen images and footage of places like Table Mountain, and then obviously, you know, the parks and things that you're referring to are, they look phenomenal. I think maybe the only place that would come close is Australia because we've got, you know, kangaroos and whatnot just skipping down the street. But you guys have lions and elephants and rhinos probably doing the same thing.
Yes. Well, not in the street per se. I know people think that happens.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to have any lions in the streets unless you're in a park and you're trying to go see them in your car. If you do encounter one in the street, you should run away and lock your doors.
You're in a bit of trouble. What are some preconceptions that people have? Because here in Australia, there's we ride kangaroos to school, And there's also the drop bears with, walking through the bush and the drop bears will jump down and get to you. What are some of the things in Africa?
It really does depend where you are. They think we have lions in the roads, essentially, which is not the case.
Guilty. I did just say that.
Yes. I mean, what else do we have? Oh, that we still live in huts. That's a common thing people think. There's a massive difference between Northern Africa and Southern Africa. Like if you come to Cape Town, where I live, it will look very similar to Australia, New Zealand, Los Angeles. I know people don't want to believe that, but it's beautiful. It's very first worldy. But then when you go up to Northern Africa, you will find tribes and huts, and that's where people get that notion from, I think.
Yeah, I definitely got to get over there. I've got to get to South Africa. How long's the flight from South Africa to Australia?
It's not good.
to be honest, Tia, the flight from Australia to anywhere other than New Zealand is not good.
That is true. It's like Japan, right?
Yeah. We're sort of just like down on the underside of the earth away from everybody else.
Yeah.
Upside down.
That's not a bad thing.
They say that when our toilets flush, the water goes the other way. I don't know if that's true or not. But that's what they say. But
I mean, I wouldn't know.
well, you'll have to come down here just to check that out then.
I will.
But we've got a ton to cover. And I guess sort of leaning off what Lee has just asked in regards to South Africa, it might be insightful to sort of perhaps give us an idea of what a regular day might look like as a kid growing up in South Africa. But I guess when Lee wrote that question for me to ask you, he probably assumed that people were still living in huts and there was lions walking down the street. Because you've just said that, it's pretty much like everywhere else, first worldy. So I imagine you would just go to school, play on the playground and the skip rope, or is there anything out of the box there that, we should know?
I mean, it depends where you're situated. If you're coastal, some of your extracurricular activities could be surfing, stuff like that, which I think you also do have.
Yeah.
We have field hockey. We don't have ice hockey, which Americans don't quite understand. We have rugby, not football. Best rugby team, just the same.
I think Australia beat South Africa in the last Tri Nations. Did we?
Man, the Springboks are pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, we're pretty bad.
What else? Oh, okay. So the country is falling to pieces at the moment. So we have something called load shedding. So if you grow up now, you won't have electricity for many hours every day. It's very random. You can download an app to see when the electricity is going down. It's because the government isn't keeping the power plants going with tax money, so they fall apart. And now after years of neglect, essentially they have to make turns to give out electricity so we can all make food, wash our clothes, etc. Which is bizarre. It would be the same as Australia having this problem, since we look very first world, but then these little problems trickle through. So that's why people like me end up working abroad mostly.
Yeah, like that is wild. Imagine our government going, oh yeah, we're going to turn your power off for the next 6 hours. I'd be like...
It starts with 30 minutes. That's how they get you.
Yeah, right.
And then over the years, I remember as a kid when my mom and dad were still cooking dinner, we'd sometimes not have electricity for an hour. And that would be like a core childhood memory. And then it became an hour a day sometimes to 2 hours. Now we have stage 6 to 8, which is 6 hours of no electricity, 30 minutes of electricity, maybe 4 more hours without electricity. And it just screws over every plan you have.
And I think we'll probably cover this further later, but growing up in that sort of environment, you managed to still end up in a career where electricity is paramount, where you need it.
My money for my first esports gig, where I'm broadcasting games, went directly into a UPS power generator, since I had to keep my PC on for 8 hours straight. Now, this is not possible if there's load shedding. So I took like a $3,500 payment, which was huge for me, directly into the UPS, which then broke 2 months later.
Oh,
So for my next gig, I took the money and got another UPS.
oh no.
And then I left.
Yeah.
You know, like here in Australia, I remember growing up, we had water restrictions as well. So we had the water drought here for probably, you know, from when I was 10 to about 16, 17. And it wasn't so much like they turned the water off at certain times, but there was definitely restrictions on what we could use. And
Yeah, you couldn't, like, if you could only water your garden like once a week. You know, people had to stop. I don't know why people do it, but like washing their driveways. You were told you were only meant to have a 2-minute shower. Like,
yeah,
that
you guys had it easy.
Yeah, I agree.
Warming you up for our water shortage. So the governments let the dams dry. We had the worst drought we've had in years, and we were heading into day 0. We were counting down the number of days until no water.
Oh, wow.
We would be the first major city on the planet to run out of water, according to international news.
Oh, my God.
So our limits were like, do not flush your toilet unless it's absolutely necessary. Like, that's the point we reached. So if you now drive in our neighborhoods, you'll see these massive, like, plastic, it's almost like it's storage containers where we were saving up groundwater, or we were saving up rainwater and using that to basically do basic necessities like flush the toilet.
Wow.
And then if you use too much water to like flush the toilet or brush your teeth, they would come and turn off your water.
Oh my God.
And we had apps so we could see who in our neighborhood were using more water than they were allowed to. So we could, like, shame them.
I was going to say, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. Like, get a water shame group together and go around to Tom's house and be like, hey, stop using all the water. The rest of us are following the rules. But yeah,
crazy.
You're right. You absolutely one-upped us on that because, we were stuck with 2-minute showers and not washing the driveways. But yeah, that's like the only thing I can really think of.
Before we move on from your childhood, the angle I want to come at is what kind of Western TV shows had an influence in South Africa? Obviously, you're a huge Disney fan. So is it things like Pokemon and Disney movies really big, or is there really big South African TV shows and movies that kind of influence your childhood as well?
No. So the Western media really trickles down all the way to us. So just about anything you would watch in America, you would watch with us. So I grew up watching Harry Potter, Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon.
Yep.
So it's about the same. We don't really get dubs in our language. So if you speak Afrikaans like me, you can just go jump off a hill, to be honest. You have to learn how to be bilingual.
Yeah.
Yeah, we watch some European shows too, like British shows, essentially. And that's what makes up our culture. But we're making more of our own stuff now. So making our own identity a little bit more out there.
And then I guess off that, because obviously, we watched Pokemon and say like Dragon Ball and stuff as kids. So we're obviously big collectors in that sort of sense. Did you collect anything as a kid, or is it? Did you?
Yeah. So I kind of watched the kids play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah. But
we were in that really conservative era where we were told those were like satanic games. So that's the type of culture we had as Afrikaans kids. It's like I was the only kid who was allowed to watch Harry Potter because my parents were cool. But I didn't get to touch Magic the Gathering, anything like that. So me being a esports caster in South Africa is like sometimes making the headlines in Afrikaans newspapers because they're like, whoa, girl makes money playing games. How does this work? On the YouTube. It's very funny. But I'd say we're like a generation behind first world countries. So, you have your craze and then it kind of comes to us. But now it's becoming more up to speed really quickly.
Yeah.
So I'd say everybody has the internet. Everybody has the technology to kind of do their thing. Not as nicely as abroad, but everybody has a phone. Everybody has an Xbox these days,
Except you, Lee. You don't have an Xbox, do you?
No, I have a PlayStation because PlayStation's better, Dan.
No, it's not. Xbox is better. Do you want to weigh in on that at all? Tia, if you had to have an Xbox or a PlayStation, which one's it going to be?
It's your PC. She's got an awesome PC set up.
I know she's, PC, the supreme race or superior race or whatever they call themselves, the PCs.
See, I have both. I started with the PlayStation 1 when I was young.
Yeah.
Upgraded to Xbox 360, my childhood.
Yep.
And then made a full 180 to PlayStation 5 so I can play the newest games.
See, I did the exact same thing, except about 6 months ago, I got rid of my PlayStation 5 and went back and got an Xbox Series X, whatever this one is. It looks like a little fridge.
Yes.
Purely because Microsoft bought Activision and everything else. And I was like, well, they're going to have all the good games now, so I'll just stick with that.
I mean, it's a fair argument. Since this is how I make income, I get to justify buying both of them.
Yeah. Well, that'd be tax write-offs, right?
Of course.
All right. Well, let's jump into the next phase, I guess, perhaps of your life, or which part we want to discuss about it anyway, which is your study, because you've done a significant amount of study. I will put my hand up and say I've done nothing compared to what you have done, which is
No.
So you correct me if I'm wrong here, but you have an honors in psychology and a bachelor's in law,
Yes.
and you are currently, or is that Stellenbosch University? Is that where you studied both of those?
Yes, so that is next to Cape Town. It's one of the universities in South Africa. Everybody goes to Stellenbosch.
Yeah, Stellenbosch. What did I say?
Yes.
Oh, did I say Bosch or Bock?
Stellenbosch. You did it right.
Stellenbosch. I got it right? Yes, I got it right. So, well, in that case then, or to lead off from that, why psychology and then why law?
Yeah, so when I was young, I wasn't exactly sure where I was going to end up. So I just knew I had to build the foundation. So a 3-year bachelor's degree in law seemed very nice, since I didn't exactly know what it entailed and wanted to see what it entails, since your high school doesn't really prepare you for a degree in law. Also, I wanted to know my rights in my own country, since there's a lot of like instability and weird stuff happening. You need to know what's going on. So studied law for 3 years, realized I wouldn't be able to immigrate with my law degree, since I'd have to restudy law of the country. So I liked the law degree, but then I hopped over to psychology as my second degree, which goes closely with law. Since criminal law, everything, it's about the mind. It's very interesting. So I found psychology to be really interesting, but there's not enough answers. It's mostly theories. So I decided, okay, final one would be neuroscience, which is what I'm doing now for my master's degree, which is all science and almost no theories. And then once I have all of that together, I will go into experimental neuroscience, where I do my own studies and try to answer some of the questions we haven't answered yet.
Well, I will put my hand up and offer Lee as a candidate for some studies, because there's some things in that head that I would love to know what's going on.
Let's do it.
So you can do whatever you need to do when if it's a practice, even if it's your first run at it, you can use Lee.
I think you're going to be pretty disappointed, to be honest, because it's like that Simpsons, the Homer, the mouse with the symbols clapping sometimes.
Oh, that's all that's up there.
You'll understand, Tia, that sometimes I have these thoughts, but I can never really articulate it that well. So I think I'd be a really crap subject, I reckon.
Nah, you should come over. We'll do a really invasive study on you.
yes, absolutely. I'm all for that. I'll blindfold him and bring him over, and he won't even know we're coming over.
I've got the image of like Tia in 5 years, full Jimmy Neutron spec, like has like her own
like the full lab and everything.
Full lab, yeah. By that stage, you've got your little. I mean, I know you've got real pets, but you'd have a little robotic pet that kind of helps you do things around the
Jimmy
lab.
Neutron, what a throwback!
Yeah,
I
love that.
I remember. Good show.
You did mention obviously Harry Potter as well. Growing up and loving that, as do I. My son's name is actually Harry James. So big fan, as my wife is. But where you're studying in Edinburgh, doesn't that look like Hogwarts?
It's where J.K. Rowling lives, is Scotland.
Yeah.
So she got literally all of her inspiration from Scotland. And once you go there, It's castles. It's beautiful. Like everything feels like I'm in Harry Potter. It's like you go through these little tunnels and alleyways to get to class, and sometimes you have to go like underground. It's crazy.
That actually sounds like a dream.
Experience.
Yeah, that sounds like a dream.
She's going down Diagon Alley, not Diagon.
Who? Diagon?
It's like in Harry Potter. It's
Diagon Alley.
Diagon Alley.
Diagon Alley, is the bad one because you got Diagon Alley and then
Diagon Alley.
Oh,
Diagon Alley.
Yeah, right.
You know how he pronounces it and then he ends up where the Death Eater's own stuff? Sorry.
Yeah.
Really bad Harry Potter reference.
I remember. It's a must, honestly. If you go to Scotland, you should. It's like Harry Potter taken out of the movie.
It's for sure on the list. For sure on the list. Now, a quick word from our show sponsor, Lunar Cards. They're a group of 5 owners and TCG community administrators with over 60 years of combined experience in the hobby.
The new Lunar Cards eBay store is just fired up, Dean, with hundreds of weekly auctions for all TCGs. They do specialize in high-end and vintage Pokemon cards. So go along, get in on the action. Don't miss out on the goodies at Lunar Cards AU on eBay. They also have consignment services that have just launched as well, offering an incredibly easy way to sell off any of those items that no longer suit your collection without any hassle or headaches. Hit them up to secure your spot because I know the boys said the quarter is really busy at the moment.
I like that. Consignment. I like that. I might actually get around that. Lunar Cards is now offering grading direct to and from PSA with group sends to PSA twice every month. So you can now get your cards graded quicker than ever. They're Australia's highest volume TCG graders, nearing 100,000 cards graded by the owners in the last few years. The Bentley store has a massive variety of TCG product on offer with a huge range of mixed vintage and modern TCGs, pops and sports cards.
They're also heavily involved in the play communities, hosting play events like Grand Archive, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, as well as One Piece. They also have their monthly in-store trade days, which see hundreds of collectors come to trade their cards. So if you're a Vic local or traveling through the area, make sure you stop in and join the ever-growing community of Lunar Cards.
Yep, that's right. Be sure to pop in and experience the moon landing located at 512A Centre Road, Bentley.
Make sure you go follow all of their socials. Their website is lunarcards.com.au. That is LUNACARDS.com.au. And their Facebook and Instagram, lunarcardsau. I take it a master's in neuropsychology. You can't really do that everywhere as well. Is that a degree that's really like quite only specific in certain universities?
Well, it's more like South Africa totally doesn't do that degree from what I've heard. There is like 6 spots for a master's program in the one university, which is almost impossible to get into because of a whole load of requirements that leads up to it. But I had to go abroad because I couldn't actually study it in my country.
Yeah.
We also didn't really have the equipment nor the resources to facilitate that. I mean, you need like fMRI machines, transcranial magnetic stimulation, EEG, like every weird machine you can think of, you need direct access to. And that's not something a country like ours necessarily has.
I couldn't think of any of those machines because I've never heard of them.
They're freaking amazing.
Yeah, I bet.
It's crazy.
I bet they are. And then I guess the last one from me on that front is when all your studies are said and done and you're finished, if that's a thing, who knows, you might want to study forever. Some people do. What's sort of your goals or how are you arming yourself to change the world? Is that where you're going to go with it all?
I mean, I love the way you put it. It feels weird saying that, but I do want to make a dent, like answer life's biggest questions. At least selfishly, I need answers, so that's why I'm studying what I'm studying.
Yeah.
So that's why I'll do like experiments outside of an academia setting. Because even though I do love academia, it's extremely structured, a lot of admin that's, in my opinion, very unnecessary and outdated. So all I need is a camera, a good study, and I could make an income just by putting up the content on YouTube. And obviously, if the core of the study is good, we can still make a dent and I can still have it published afterwards. But yeah, that's truly what the goal is. Like big social experiments and stuff.
I love that. Like we said, Lee is a candidate in all facets. We can utilize him for many different things.
Will we see the More Than Human YouTube with a bit more content on it?
Yes. already working on some content behind the scenes.
Oh, I love that.
I'm just perfectionistic. So it's very hard for me to put up something that's suboptimal when it comes to science.
Yeah.
So I just played around with like 2 videos to test out the algorithm using psychology versus gaming. And with gaming, I post just about anything since it's just a hobby.
Yep. No, love that. Well, on the you love learning, but you also love writing, and you've written a book, The Marked Children.
Goodness.
Here. So
He has it.
we do have it. Yes, we do have it. So you are an author. Talk us through what it's like. What are some challenges around writing the book, and what made you want to write a book?
Firstly, thank you for buying it. That's amazing.
That's
I sometimes forget I have a book.
yeah, it's a hard case in Australia. This copy is in Australia here, so
Let's go. It's amazing. Well, I mean, I was so into science fiction because it's about theorizing about things that could possibly happen, but it hasn't. So it's fiction, but science fiction. So it has to be possible. So I had all these little theories as a child growing up, like, what if aliens exist? What if clones existed? What if this and this and this happened? So I wrote one of my little stories surrounding that theory, The Marked Children. It's like, what if aliens abduct people, but they don't bring them back?
Mm-hmm.
How do we even know that happens? And I went further. I'm like, what if it's only kids and they drop them all on a planet somewhere and the kids somehow need to survive, Lord of the Flies style? And that's The Marked Children. So that took me about 7 years to write since I started in high school and didn't throughout my degrees. So I had to kind of teach myself how to write. And then every time I grew up a little bit, I had to go back and rewrite the whole thing since it was outdated and not well enough. Yeah, so that's the route we went. I self-published as well, since getting an agent at the age of like 23 is near impossible.
Yep.
No company wants to work with you since you're a loose cannon. They're not sure if they're going to get any of their money back. But yeah, I would tell all aspiring authors to just go for it. There are many ways to now publish your books for free on Amazon, Kindle. So there's nothing stopping you.
That's awesome. You said it took 7 years. Was there was there lots of people that had influence in the book as well? Like, was it easy to identify with certain characters and other characters, and maybe kill off characters that you didn't like? Did you have real world influence on that?
Well, they were mostly made up, to be fair. It's kind of hard. I would make it too literal if I were to take a real character out there. I guess John, the main character, would be my alter ego. Mm-hmm. So 100% that's just me. And then his family and whatever, it's all kind of based on my idea of my family, but taken to the extreme. So yeah, there's a lot of references in there if you were to read it and you knew who I was. Yeah,
I know you're very busy at the moment between your streaming and your studies, but is there another book in the works?
Oh, I would love to. The thing is, I found that when it comes to the time you put into a project, you can get something on video so much quicker than on paper. Also, the audience is massive compared to people who still read, which is sad, but truly kids aren't reading. And I'm not trying to sound like a boomer, since this is something everybody says every generation. But truly, when I was trying to sell my book, even some of my best friends or family couldn't get themselves to read it. And at first I took it personally, but not really, because I don't read anymore either, which is tragic. But I read audiobooks, which isn't reading, it's listening. But it's quicker, effective, I retain knowledge better, and I watch educational videos. So in my opinion, I would much rather make a movie than make a book that could become a movie.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, totally.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm now into more script writing for my YouTube videos and playing around with that and seeing where that goes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, I wanted a few quick notes on the book, if that's okay. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything for anyone at home. But
just to clarify, when you say a few quick notes, you're not giving her like tips on, oh, maybe you should have done this, or maybe you should have done that. I don't want you to do that to our guest. The way you said that.
No, I'm going to give you a real life account of how I was feeling when I was reading the book at a few moments. Okay.
Okay. Cool. That's good.
Okay.
So, Tia, have you ever seen Jurassic World, the movie?
Yes.
So, you know when the Brachiosaurus is on the pier and the boat's taking off? I got when Beetroot, all right, I thought you were going to do that when they were going at the end of the book. I won't say anything more, but you know when Beetroot was sitting there and he like couldn't really go in the water, I was thinking, don't you dare. She's going to do it. And I was thinking of the Brachiosaurus the whole time. So I don't, if that had happened.
I'm getting emotional.
Oh,
I forgot about that part.
I was getting emotional reading it. So if you had done that, I would not have been happy. 2, got the book and read it in about just over 2 days. I don't do a lot of reading, but I found that at the end of your chapters, it was always like a little hook of like, oh, I want to read another chapter. I want to read another chapter.
What I was going for.
Yeah. So that was really good. And my third note is I'll take more germs and Aishas in the world and way less Kyles and Azons. But
let's go.
Really, really good book.
Love it. I mean, I appreciate that. I wrote it so a second book could and should be possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, without spoilers, like Beetroot is still maybe out there. Who knows?
Hey, there we go. There we go.
Heard it here first.
Well, we've got a bit of, we know you like your quizzes, and later, in a little bit later to finish off, we've got a bit of a quiz. So maybe that can tie into maybe a second book as well. So
all right,
we'll wait for that.
I'm down.
Dino, you want to talk a bit of Disney and Lorcana?
This is a huge topic right now in Australia. It is very, very relevant. I mean, I know we've been speaking to you for a couple of weeks in terms of getting you on, but what sort of transpired in that last 2 or 3 weeks is phenomenal and super, super relevant. So Disney Lorcana has only just dropped in Australia, and what we've got is first chapter. We got that last week, and then every 2 weeks afterwards, we get the new set. So we've got Floodborn coming out next week, and then 2 weeks after that, we get Inklands. 2 weeks after that, we get Ursula's Return, and then then that should then take us to August, where we're on par with the rest of the world to get set 5.
That's crazy. How hyped up is it in Australia?
Very, very. I've been importing it from the US anyway. Initially, so we could open it up and sort of show people down here on our Twitch platform what it's about. But it wasn't till it actually hit the shops last week that all the TCG and the Facebook communities just absolutely blew up down here with Lorcana. Everybody's running to shops trying to find boxes, trying to get them. There's enchanteds being pulled left, right, and center. Like Elsa's here and Elsa's there.
Yes.
I'd never seen so many Elsa enchanteds, to be fair.
Yeah, that first day
they were just popping up absolutely everywhere. So yeah, it's becoming super, super big down here, which is nice because I mean it's the Disney IP, right? Like who doesn't get a nostalgia hit from some Disney film? I mean, there's plenty of it.
Oh, Mickey.
There is Mickey.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta play it. It's Disney, right?
Yeah.
I have so many cards like all over the place here.
I literally picture just like little decks and piles of decks just sitting sort of everywhere.
It's putting it nicely. It's a big old pile of chaos is what it is.
Before we dive really deep into Disney, because I got quite a few questions about that in particular in gameplay, but let's start just with streaming. Because, you know, we've talked about your childhood, we've talked about your education, we've talked about your book, which is phenomenal. Where and how did you decide and start streaming? Because that's not the same lane as, you know, everything else that you mentioned in terms of education and writing and streaming esports and stuff. They don't kind of go together?
I completely understood. So it's this habit I have, which isn't necessarily a good thing, of being productive all the time. So I feel very guilty if I'm not doing something productive. So how do you define productive? I don't know. But I was studying law and I really wanted to play this card game called Gwent, which is from The Witcher. And it was online. So at some point I told myself, well, I can't play this if I'm not either making money or making friends. So I found out about Twitch, which is a streaming service like YouTube, but different. It's more stream focused. It's live. And I saw there was a community that plays Gwent. So I started streaming my games and it just popped off out of nowhere. Like people wanted to watch me play games. It was so overwhelming. I quit for a whole year. I was very anxious. Like 100 people watching me zooming in on my face while I'm playing games is a lot. Yeah. So I came back a year later and I saw there was a competitive scene and to me that was cool because I'm competitive. So I would stream my games while I'm getting good at the game and starting to make income as a 19-year-old. That was really cool. And making friends. So that's where that sort of came from. And then the people who make the game saw me cast community tournaments. And they're in Poland. They essentially asked me if I wanted to cast for them and they can pay me X amount of money, which was like mind-blowing to me. So I took the job and that sort of became my whole thing. So I play competitive card games, which I love doing, and it's productive. So that's it.
Yeah, that's like the dream sort of scenario, isn't it? But like you said, I can understand from, you know, you're sort of not super familiar with Twitch, and then you jump on there and then all these people start watching you and you're kind of like, oh, whoa. I wasn't sort of expecting that. And you got to kind of sit back and then reassess, because you're like, all right, well, there's all these questions now and things that I probably need to ask myself or be potentially concerned about that I didn't ask myself right before I just decided to go live on Twitch.
Yeah, even if 6 people are watching, like, I don't want to overstate it. Like, people aren't really used to 6 people watching your every movement.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's
I suppose,
also, if you're antisocial, you know, it's great interaction with people, like learning how to go through conversation and small talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as well, it'd probably be different because when I'm streaming, I'm basically opening cards for other people. It's probably a different feeling as to if I was sitting there playing Call of Duty and I've got all these people watching me and I play badly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would feel horrible when they're just like, oh, you're trash. Delete the game. Get out of here. You know, that'd probably rub me the wrong way.
It's a really good point, because I've streamed playing World of Warcraft and Heroes of the Storm a little bit. And those,
I thought you played League of Legends.
No, Heroes of the Storm.
Is that the same thing?
I'm Blizzard guy at heart.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hearthstone, like World of Warcraft, all that. But when you open cards for people, the cards kind of can dictate the stream and how you're chatting, and the chat get excited for big hits. But when you're kind of playing a game, I find I end up giving control over to the people. If they're like, oh, go do this quest instead of this quest, you go do that quest. Or it's definitely a skill set, though, to sit there and kind of just talk to it without those triggers. It's a different type of stream. Maybe you should jump on and do a COD stream, Dino.
Yeah, again, I don't want to get trashed. I don't want to get bullied for being average.
Yeah. It's a good point as well you raise about connecting with other people through streaming, because we both stream here, and the people that we've met through streaming, it's been like amazing to meet people in the hobby. It's so important for networking and finding like-minded people.
Absolutely.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah, and then to lead off that as well, then could you explain where you got your channel name and your inspo for the logo and all that sort of stuff? And has it changed? Has it always been the same, or has it adapted over the time as well?
It's always been the same. So when I was in high school, this is cringy, but I was really big in sports. So some of the girls in my teams would call me like Thea Booysen. And
yeah.
I was like, yeah. So like before hockey games, I would like write beast on my arm, and it was like a fun thing.
Like an intimidation tactic.
Yeah. You got to scare the other girls, you know, a little bit. So I like have a lot of nostalgia with that. So I've always just made my YouTube name like I decided to go early on for Thea Beastie because I realized Beast is very like alpha dominant. Like I wanted to be more female and feminine. Yeah. So it's just been Thea Beastie since then. It's kind of funny how that ended up being my name online. It's too late to change it, I think.
I think it's great. I think it rocks. And then, so you've obviously got the wolf. Where does the wolf come from in your logo?
I just freaking love wolves.
Yeah.
I'm a horse girl, but for wolves.
Are there wolves in South Africa? Like
No.
No. Where do wolves come from? We don't have wolves here in Australia either. We have dingoes.
There's wolves. Isn't there wolves in America? North America?
Yeah, like somewhere apparently.
In the desert?
Bears.
Yeah. Somewhere in America?
There's lots of, now that you mention it, there's lots of wolf references in the book as well.
Yes.
You've got lots of wolf references in the book. That makes sense.
My favorite wolves are dire wolves.
House of the Dragon comes back soon. I'm sorry.
no,
I know
I'm
that's
so
like
excited.
a time-sensitive.
It's going to be great.
So excited. I saw this meme the other day. Sorry, quick diverge here. And it was because if you Team Black, Team Green, and it was, I can't wait in 2 weeks to support Team Black, even though then like by law, they're not in the right. But it's like, nah, we're still Team Black, like all the way.
Nobody's right in the Game of Thrones universe.
Yeah, that's why I love it.
Except for Tyrion. Tyrion is always right.
Tyrion was always right, kind of, sort of. Still, I still don't know if I agree with that, Lee, to be fair. But last one for me on just the streaming, it's something that I think is really important from my aspect, and that's just connection with the community and the people that are watching your streams. Have you found that you connect with them outside of streaming as well, like through other social platforms? Like have you've built like this community and they sort of, they're always there?
Yeah. Now that I think about it, most of my real life friends are streamers. So you rarely actually become good friends with people who watch because there's always that parasocial relationship. I mean, it's quite possible you might pick up a few friends, but they see you all the time and you see a name. So it's very different. And sometimes it doesn't click from their point of view. And some exploit this. Obviously, I wouldn't. But yeah, you don't know who they are, their age, if they're male or female. But yeah, so you have more in common with streamers since you all can see each other all the time. So you actually have like a real relationship. And we met up. I've been like a bridesmaid in one of their weddings. Like there'll be one in mine one day. Like,
yeah,
gonna see a lot of them in TwitchCon Rotterdam in the Netherlands soon. So yeah, friends for life. Honestly,
I'd love it. I'd love to go to a TwitchCon.
That would be really
it's
cool.
great fun if you're a partner. You get to go to the partner party. And it was a party.
I mean, what if we're friends of a partner, aka you? Can we still go to the party?
No, I've seen couples not go because one of them isn't a partner.
Wow. Well, we're Twitch affiliate.
We're affiliates.
We're affiliate level.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We can't break
No,
that
you cannot
part.
come in.
We just can't break. I love it.
Like at the door, like, oh, affiliate. Yeah, nice. Get out of here.
More food for us.
That's awesome. Have you noticed as you get more comfortable on streams, have you noticed you're streaming, maybe the way you stream slightly different as well? I kind of want to tie this in as well to your degrees. Like, is there certain things from your degrees that you can also use in your streams as well? Because I studied animal vet bioscience and now I work a boring corporate job. Oh, there's someone's going to hear that. Damn it. But like, I can't really grab any of my experiences from my uni degree in my everyday life. But, with the streaming, do you find things that you can use from your degrees?
I mean, we often end up straying away from the game, and I just do midnight Thea talks, which are very unintentional. But it's become a thing because at 12, I lose my inhibition. I don't hold back, and I start talking about the weirdest law cases I've ever read or the darkest psychology things I know about. And that's where some of my core followers came from the early unhinged Thea days.
Unhinged.
Since you learn to hide it very well,
I love it.
Gosh.
Do you have, with your e-casting, do you have certain quotas that you have to do for streaming? And how often are you e-casting at the moment? They are completely separate?
So e-casting as in working?
As in working, yeah, working for the tournaments and stuff. Do they have like you must do a minimum of, 100 streamed hours of the new season or something like that? There's nothing like that?
No. So, I mean, it's not a very democratic process, these things. They pick you based off how favorable you are in the community from their perspective. If they think you're going to bring a large audience to the game, and if you already have a large audience, your chances of getting the gig is far bigger. It's never salary based. They can drop you at any second for any reason. Mm-hmm. So it's all about, are you doing your job correctly? Are you actually studying the cards in the game, or are you just kind of getting lazy?
Yeah.
So no, I don't have to make any content they will pay me to do a course for 2 days. I get upfront fee. That's it. And then I'll continue to play the game for 2 months. And if I don't play the game, they probably won't want to work with me. So
Yeah,
I guess that kind of makes sense. Like, you know, if you just fall off, or if they watch you sort of fall off that wagon or that game, they'll go, all right, well, there's somebody else that's knocking at the door. I mean, that's a common thing, because, you know, I've played a lot of different TCGs over the years, and for me, most have a 1 to 2 year lifespan, and then the next one will sort of come along, and I'll kind of jump into that. I mean, except for Magic, but then again, it's one thing I don't play religiously. I know how to play it, but yeah, then games like Lorcana pop up and One Piece pop up, and I'm like, I love these. These are great. So you dive head first, all in.
Are you doing any e-casting outside of Disney Lorcana? Because I know you said you started with Gwent. Is there anything else that you're e-casting for at the moment?
Yeah, so I'll just about cast any game if somebody wants me to cast it and it's a fun game. So, I mean, I play Parallel, which is an online card game. I cast for them. So that's basically just as frequent as Disney, if not more right now. And then, sometimes somebody will ask me to cast Rocket League or Fortnite, or I quickly have to learn a game just so I can be part of the panelists and cast the game, just for some exposure. But mostly just card games. It's fun for me to learn a card game, and then to cast the card game or to compete is also a lot of fun.
Have you heard of a card game called Flesh and Blood?
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah.
I know all the card games.
Yeah, Lee absolutely loves Flesh and Blood, and he never used to play TCGs. He's very well known in our community as a collector, and I'm more the player. But I've urged him to learn to play a game, and Flesh and Blood was the one he chose. And he's been learning and going to a lot of locals and going really hard. And I wouldn't say doing well. It's an ongoing joke in our other podcasts. He's won 0 games, but. It was. I just thought I'd ask, because I know that's a really big player base for that game worldwide, and I was just intrigued to see if you had heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, all my caster friends, like after Gwent died, they move on and they go for different games, or they become freelance casters. So, I mean, some of my good friends from Gwent are casters in the Flesh and Blood community, or some of the Flesh and Blood people come over to Disney. So we all sort of know each other. And we also keep our eyes on old games, because at any point you have something like Disney that pops up out of nowhere. And by the time the entire world knows about it, they will already have a dedicated crew working for them, playing the game at the highest level. So if you miss out on the start, it's like an investment, like Bitcoin popping off, So you have to keep your eyes and ears on the ground so you know which games are well enough to invest your time in.
Yep. Like One Piece, for example, that is absolutely popping off.
Fourth biggest.
Yeah, popping off worldwide, and that's what I play at the moment. That's why I say that it's a bit of fun. But I guess to continue on from that, then when and where or how did you first come across Disney Lorcana? Did you know about it before it dropped, or where was your first introduction into that game in particular?
Yeah, so Gwent was going to go into maintenance mode December. I casted my last Gwent game in June, July. So I had some free time along with my studies, checked out some card games coming out. So there was the Star Wars card game coming out, Disney coming out, some Harry Potter card game maybe in Japan, I don't know. So I heard this one was a physical game, which was new to me. But then one of our friends rocked up to our house one day and just handed us a box he got from a local shop on the day it released. So I opened it in my hotel when I traveled to Scotland, drew an Elsa card. Hey. And my whole chat's like, put gloves on right now. This card is worth money. So I looked it up and I'm like, oh my goodness, $100. That's crazy. So I sold it at $300. It's now worth almost $1,000.
Yeah,
that's how I learned not to do that.
Yeah, I think Elsa Enchanted was going for about 1,500 here, which is about 1,000 US raw. So
yes,
yeah, it's different, I guess. Yeah, physical card games, you can they are tools that you're meant to play with, but Yeah, there are cards in there that are worth quite a bit of money, which adds to the experience. But I guess off that, and this is something that I was saying earlier in terms of relevance of the Lorcana discussions, because Pixelborn, the fan-made client for online, recently received a cease and desist from Disney and has asked them to just shut it down before they've even released their own. 2 questions. In your opinion, how does that affect the online presence of the game immediately? And do you know if, Ravensburger or Disney are dropping their own one in a certain time frame?
So we do not know if anything's being dropped. I don't know anything. And I'd say accessibility is extremely important for the health of a card game. If Pixelborn goes down in 2 weeks and there isn't an announcement of an online client, it will have a drastic effect on the game. The game could still be successful, but right now there still isn't supply in places like South Africa. So if I was stuck there, that would be like game over for me. I would also never have gotten into it if not for Pixelborn. Like every single person I know plays Pixelborn, just because you want to try out the cards before you buy them, or you don't have access to it right off the bat, or you need training. So Pixelborn is actually launching a Disney-friendly cam version now. So it will have the exact same leaderboard system and queuing system against players. You will just have to use a camera and real cards. So not breaking any laws. It's like playing in person, but with a camera. Yeah,
One Piece runs tournaments like that already, but that's because, again, they don't have, there's a fan-made sim, but they don't have their own one made. I just find it really interesting, like, for Disney, that's like a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and you've released a card game and a fan has made a phenomenal TCG client. Like, I'd like to see Disney make a better one, to be fair. If you've ever played MTG Arena, it's very similar to that, and that is, one that was made. I'm just surprised that Disney would come in and just shut it down. I don't get it.
Well, the mouse is known for doing that. If you think about it.
Mickey's meant to be nice. They sell Mickey as his nice little mouse, and it turns out he's actually just
The thing is, if they allow one person to use their characters, then they can't defend themselves in a lawsuit if somebody else were to do it. So unless they do it with everybody, they can do it with nobody. So yeah, the big thing is they were using the card images without a license, not making a game that has the cards mechanics per se. So the IP is very, Disney.
Could he potentially, or he or she, I'm not sure who the creator is. Could he have potentially just gone on and used hand-drawn images for the cards and keep the game running? Like, is it that simple? Like, can he adjust it that way? I mean, but I honestly just would have thought that if Disney were going to create their own client, either utilize this guy that's already made it, buy it off him, or work with him or employ him, as opposed to just sending a cease and desist and forcing a shutdown and not actually telling all your fans of this game if you're going to be releasing something to replace it. It just seems really, I don't know who made that decision.
So I can tell you from what I know, Ravensburger is in Germany. They actually make this card game. And they nearly own Disney's permission to use the IP. So anything they do has to go through Disney. So Disney's very touch and go. I don't have any information on more than that. All I know is with this game getting bigger, Disney probably just did a big sweep on social media, found out there was a third-party client, shut it down. So hopefully they realize there's so much potential to bring in online clients into the world, and they certainly have the resources to do that. We already have an online client on the phone, but it's not meant to play the game. It's just meant to like digitally collect the cards. So yeah, there's potential there. I hope they don't sleep on it. I don't think they will, but if they make an online client, I think this game will be one of the biggest card games in the world very quickly. They
have to have an online client. We went through this in one of our previous podcast episodes, and I said people need to think of it like, it's not about, the online client isn't about replacing the physical game. It's about giving access to people that don't have access to the physical game, or people that play the physical game that want to test out new decks, that deck against other decks, change up your flavor and all that sort of stuff. You can do all that like digitally before you go and do it physically. And not everybody, and everybody that wants to get ready for a tournament as well might not necessarily have 3, 4, 5, 6 people nearby that they can test all these different decks against. But you can go online and do the same thing to ensure that when you're using it in person, you get the best possible experience out of it.
For sure.
Yeah, it just baffles me that people are like, nobody wants to play it in person because they're all playing it online. I'm like, incorrect. I mean,
nobody I know does that. If anything, they test it online and they bulk buy cards anyway.
Yeah.
So you just quickly build your deck before your competition, but it's so much more effort to hand build your deck, play with each other, then change the deck. I did that with my boyfriend for the first few months. It was fun. It was not effective.
What decks were you playing then?
So red purple was the deck with Elsa in it.
Yeah,
everybody was playing it. So I was playing that deck, and he was playing a Tinkerbell gray yellow deck.
That deck's all right. The Tinkerbell one. I've only played that one, and then what's the one I got now? I think it's Steel and something else. It's one of the first chapter decks. I literally just picked it up the other day because obviously we only just started getting stock. So
Emerald Steel.
Is it Emerald Steel? What's the Sapphire? Sapphire Steel.
Sapphire's blue.
Yeah, Sapphire Steel. That's the one.
Sapphire Steel. That's a very good one right now in set 4.
Oh, really? All right, cool. Well,
yes.
I'm going to keep grinding that out then, and then as the cards come out, I'll make sure I adjust it and keep it going.
Yeah, because it's a very bad card, as some would say, in the green deck called Bucky, and Bucky makes you discard a card every time somebody plays a certain type of card. I think Floodborn. So it's almost impossible to get rid of Bucky. But when you're playing Steel Sapphire, you can sing songs that gets rid of it. Let's just say anybody playing in the tournament this weekend in Chicago might consider playing Sapphire Steel.
Yeah, right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this won't be out before then, so sorry, people playing in Chicago. You're going to miss that hot tip from the one and only Thea Beastie. I guess, so where does that... And now, I don't know exactly sort of what this scene is like, but I spoke to Chris from Cardio way back, and that was how we were introduced to you. But he initially told me about these online tournaments that they were running, and I think you were casting for them. Was that using Pixelborn, that Pixelborn software that's about to be shut down? Is that what they were run on?
Yeah, so they were running the tournaments using Pixelborn. I think their software is set up to do real tournaments, to be honest. I think that was just the most convenient way for most people across the world to play all these tournaments at the same time.
So what happens now, though, with Pixelborn being shut down?
Again, so Pixelborn already announced they're going to start doing it with cameras now.
Okay, so even to that level, yeah.
You can totally continue running tournaments in a Disney-friendly way. People will just have to get savvy with using a camera if they haven't.
I tell you one thing from experience in the One Piece community, and it's unfortunate, but in some of those webcam tournaments, people have been found to cheat.
Oh, for sure, it's possible.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to cheat, I guess, when you have physical cards as opposed to using a digital client, because, on some of the Facebook groups and things, they're like, all right, make sure that when you're playing these opponents that you're recording via OBS, and if something happens, call a judge in, send them the footage, blah, blah, blah. And it was literally things like, you've always got to keep your hand like within camera view so that your opponent can see it. And people would just simply take it away. And there was a guy, you could see his shadow, and he takes a card away and grabs another one and brings it back to his hand and then just slowly puts it back down.
Oh, sleight of hand. That's ridiculous.
It's disappointing behavior, but it's just one of those things that comes with the territory, I guess, when they're no longer using, well, because Disney shut down the online client, and that's where they go. So I guess you as an e-caster just keep an eagle eye out and make sure you call them out live. Like, so you cheat.
Oh yeah,
don't cheat.
I was in Atlanta playing in the first feature match, and my opponent cheated. I think it was an accident, but everybody on Twitch was calling him out since he didn't take one of the damage on his cards, and the card should have been thrown away, and it was just kept there, and the damage was never added, and that card took out all my cards one by one. It was frustrating in retrospect, but there wasn't a judge watching. It was a bit chaotic, and I don't blame Ravensburger. It was their first event, and there was a lot going on behind the scenes. But yeah, in retrospect, we should have a judge eagle eye watching the cards, if they're feature matches at least.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because you could almost argue in that sense it's a misplay, because whether both of you missed the damage counter or not. But then, are we giving somebody too much credit who goes, oh, maybe he was aware, or they were aware that maybe you missed the damage counter, and they were like, cool, doesn't matter. They didn't say that. Yeah, I'm just going to do this.
The lights were coming from above, and these shiny cards reflect the lights really well.
Yeah, the foils
if you have this
do,
happening,
yeah.
from my angle, I see this happening. So I just kind of assumed he's just being honest,
Yeah.
It is what it is, but
it's a great.
that's how you learn.
It's a great lesson for future tournaments that you play in. On the online client, you've also run some tournaments yourself. Is it true that you ran the biggest Disney Lorcana event to date?
Yes, back in the day.
Back in the day,
in January.
Over 300 people online. Talk us through setting that up, because that's an amazing achievement in itself.
Yeah, so I was just so bummed out because, again, there weren't any tournaments in any areas. And I was like, I want to run a tournament or play in one. Worst case, I run it. So I just put up, I started by putting up my own money, and it was a free entry tournament. So it was $1,000. It was like, let's do it. I don't take any money. If something goes wrong, people won't say I scammed them. It's completely free. Yeah, so we had more than 300 people take part in the tournament. It was crazy. So I saw what's possible. So now I see myself almost more as a tournament organizer, though I've sort of separated that from me personally as a caster. So we have the pack who runs online tournaments. But obviously with Disney making it clear, finally, they don't want a third-party tournament, because it was always kind of assumed they don't care since they allowed it to happen so clearly. It was like, okay, maybe they're working on their own client and they're just kind of pretending to be blind to this one since it helps the game grow massively. But now that it's clear you're not allowed to do that, obviously I could easily host tournaments using something like Tabletop Simulator. Not going to do that. We'll wait until the camera tournament, which Disney approves of, and then I'll continue running tournaments. And if they have an online client, hopefully they do at some point, I would love to run tournaments for those as well.
Cool. Did you have anyone? I saw there was the King of the Hill type 10 win in a row. Did anyone end up winning that? Did you have a winner?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No, we'll continue it with cams if we have to.
Yeah, okay.
It's just an infinity thing that keeps on going.
Yeah. So the concept was, Dino, was that someone had to win 10 games in a row to take out the top prize. But you know how hard it is in card games to win 10 games in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, I've won one in about 25. So I'd
still trying to claim he won one, and it was a buy win.
No, it was a side deck. I got a buy win, but then I got a win in a side side draft.
Oh, Leroy.
Let's go. It's a win.
Yeah. But no, that's the thing with TCGs, like you said, right? Winning 10 in a row is not easy because all card games still have an element of luck. Doesn't matter how good you are or what's in your deck or who your opponent is and who's got the upper hand, you're still drawing cards at a rate that you're unaware of, and so is your opponent. Like there's luck involved, right? You've got a shuffled deck of cards. So that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, that's also why that 10 win one is a pool. So instead of like some arcade game where we're ripping people off for infinity, every time they purchase a ticket, it goes into the pool. Yeah. So the winner gets all the money. That's what makes it fun. So the longer it keeps on going, the more it's going to be worth.
How do I get involved in this pool?
Oh, you can just go on the website
I'll just be donating money, I think, for a while. But I like to fancy myself as a pretty good card player. Yet to win anything major to back that up. But I like to think I know what I'm doing.
Australian tournaments coming soon. Hopefully.
Well, actually, I had a question for you regarding that. That was the last one, but we'll skip to it now. If Australia hosts a large tournament, is that something that you would be interested in e-casting? And then if we had because we do often run, I know like for One Piece Nationals, it was huge, and some other games. If we had something large down here, is that the kind of thing that you'd be able to travel down here for?
Oh, absolutely. Things like flights would have to be paid for because it's so far away. But a lot of the times they do remote casting. Like in America, even we have like an online pair and an in-person pair because of funding right now. So it's very natural for there to be online casters. If there's an in-person Disney Lorcana event, 100% I would be there. I'm still trying to become one of the official casters for Disney. Like, let's just say there's talks. Like, I can't confirm or deny anything.
Breaking?
But I mean...
Is this breaking news?
Another scoop on the hobby podcast? How do we get
Nothing
these?
official. It's just hopefully something down the line. That would be great since, there's so much potential. Like, do we ever have something where Disney actually steps in and, like, blows this game up? Like, do we have something in Disney parks in years from now? Like, can you imagine how cool that would be? Like, I do want to be part of that.
Yeah, that would be unreal. That would be so cool. Actually unreal. I personally have never been to Disneyland or Disney World.
You're missing out, bro. I've been very fortunate. My partner is a huge Disney fan, and we've been to Disney World and Land a few times now. And Paris.
Japan?
No, so we've done Orlando twice, LA once, and Paris. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I've been to everyone but LA.
Okay.
Japan was out of this world. Such a different culture.
Yeah. Well, us coming from the TCG world, Japan is on top of everyone's list here. So no doubt if we go across there for some cards, it'll also be a Disney trip as well.
Let's go.
So collecting, streaming, e-casting, and I also have here a business owner, Nixuh. So something you're really passionate about is lifting up everyone around you in the community. And you've mentioned that coming from South Africa, it's a little bit taboo. You're a bit of a trailblazer in this space. What is Nixuh and what's the work that you're doing there?
Yeah, so they pronounce it Nixuh. Okay. Don't worry, I got it wrong too my first time. It's spelled Nixuh for the audience. It's interesting. So it's the biggest esports org in South Africa, subjectively so, objectively soon.
Yep.
They sort of invited me for an interview with them, with one of their brands, and there was these two young guys doing really well, very ambitious, and it was clear they had their hearts in the right places. They were actually trying to uplift young South Africans. So before I knew it, I just co-signed, and I'm now a co-owner with them. And we each have a different role, but the goal is essentially to get as many South Africans the resources they need to like break into the industry. Since I don't feel there is a lot of that happening in South Africa, and people don't realize it, but we do have many gamers, but we have zero resources. We don't have an official Twitch server. We don't have a Twitch representative to give us front page slots, help our partners out. We don't have like CSGO servers, stuff like that. So you can't really be competitive with the amount of lag we have. So it's kind of brutal. But those of us who break out of the country, break into the industry, I want to show them if they don't remain local online and they expand their wings online, you can make some proper income with dollars, euros. You can stay in South Africa. Doesn't matter. But yeah, that's what Nixuh does. Nixuh tries to get all the young peeps the resources they need.
That's awesome. I love that. I really love that.
Them. Cool people we have.
So we usually like to end with what we call rapid fire questions. But before we do that, I believe we've put together a little bit of a quiz. Do you want to explain it, Lee? Because you've kind of came up with the concept, and I think I'm just going to get punished.
Yes. Okay. So, Tia, this is what I want you to imagine, okay? I want you to imagine, is it Damnatus or Damnatus? How do you pronounce it?
Okay, I say Damnatus, but I'm extra.
Damnatus. Okay. So it's 3 weeks post Damnatus.
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 And you've just woken up and now you've got a mark on your other arm, okay? And your first thought is, oh, I'm going back, okay?
Did you see my second book or something?
Well, that's what I said earlier. I thought this might be a bit of fun. So I've been seeing online those a lot of those quizzes where there's 4 options and you've got to pick which one it is, okay? So you're going to get abducted. You're dropped back on the planet, except it's a little bit different this time, okay? So this time you have to pick your team, okay? So you have to pick one of each mark to try and get to the end, okay? Now, one thing about the Hobby Podcast is people love watching me and Dean in pain. So there's going to be an aspect of this as well where we've got some sour sprays here. We're going to give you 4 options. You tell us which one it is, and we have pre-recorded answers that we think you're going to say. If we get it right, we don't have to do a spray. If we get it wrong, we have to spray.
It's like 5 sprays because it's super sour. It needs to be impactful.
Yeah. So we don't have any fancy graphics or anything like that. Post-production will have that. So you're just going to have to go with what you're hearing. But good luck. Hopefully there is no right or wrong answers. I think it's more...
We can only get them wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever you say is right. We're the only ones that get them wrong.
Then I realized I wrote the universe.
Okay, so first up, okay, you need to select your red mark, okay? So strength protection, your 4 options are you can pick either Dudley Dursley from the Harry Potter universe, Johnny Lawrence, he's the bad kid in The Karate Kid, the little a-hole, Azula from Avatar The Last Airbender, or Sid from Toy Story. So which red mark would you want? Dudley Dursley, Johnny Lawrence, Azula, or Sid?
Interesting. So Azula, who's that again?
From Avatar The Last Airbender. She's the sister to...
Okay.
Yeah, she's the sister.
I haven't seen that, so I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I'm so anxious.
The firebenders. Have you seen Avatar The Last Airbender?
Yes.
You have? Yeah.
Loved it.
So... your red mark, who do you select?
I would say not that one. Not trying to rig this at all.
Okay, so you want me to say who I would pick?
Yeah. So you tell us whether you're going to pick Dudley, Johnny, Azula, or Sid. Then we'll reveal our answers. And if we didn't match up, we have to take some sour spray.
Okay. I would have to go with the Karate Kid's Johnny.
No.
I wrote Azula.
I went with Sid.
Azula was my second one.
5 sprays. Damn it.
I went with Sid.
I thought the firebending, but then Azula would be a bit strong, I reckon. She could cause a revolt.
I think the issue is here.
Yeah, it's just almost too strong. It's like supernatural.
Yeah, that's true. 5 sprays, Dino. You got it wrong too, mate.
Yeah, go on, pal.
Sid is just a normal guy in Toy Story.
Oh, that's so
yours
sour.
bad? Is it that bad?
Yeah, it's green apple.
Oh, no.
Sour.
I feel so bad.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh! I always shoot it right in the back of my mouth.
Got him.
Such a bad idea.
Got him. All right. It's time to pick your green mark, okay? Master of the land and the animals.
Surely I get this one right.
All right. So you've got Eliza Thornberry from the Wild Thornberries, Mowgli from the Jungle Book, Antonio from Encanto. He's the really little one that can control all the animals. Yeah. Or Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games.
You're making this incredibly difficult.
So Eliza Thornberry, Mowgli, Antonio, or Katniss Everdeen.
Whoa. So the one I think would literally do the best in this environment.
Yes. Yeah. Who's on your team? If you have to get to the end, who's going to keep you alive? They all have their strengths.
Okay, Katniss Everdeen.
Katniss Everdeen.
No.
Yeah.
Show it, Dino. I've got the Mockingjay.
Let's go.
Mockingjay.
My camera's on reverse, so you can't read that, but it says Mowgli.
Hey.
I was going to say Mowgli, but can he kill kids?
I mean,
Katniss can do that.
When you put it that way, yeah.
Spray up, Dino.
Oh, God.
Take that.
This makes me so happy. All right.
I don't reckon you sprayed in the right spot.
Oh, God. I think I did 6. Gave it an extra one. All right. So it's time to pick your blue mark, okay? Intellectual prowess, specialize in trades. You've got Hermione Granger from Harry Potter.
Hermione Granger.
Hermione. You got Shuri from the Black Panther. Lewis from Meet the Robinsons. Or Jimmy Neutron.
All right. It's going to have to be Jimmy Neutron.
Hey. Who did you write, Dino?
That's not even on my list.
What do you mean?
Mine says Hermione Granger, Shuri, Lewis, or Ender Wiggin.
Oh, I changed it. Yeah, I changed it.
So
before.
The second one is Hermione.
That is completely rigged because
Well-
I said Hermione.
You said Hermione. I actually said Lewis, to be honest, because we watched Meet the Robinsons only a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, this kid's cool."
This is not.
He is smart.
Yeah,
This is
very
not
hard.
nice at 9:30 or 10 a.m. on a Friday.
Oh, yeah. It's morning for you guys.
you know, I said Jimmy Neutron earlier too. I said Jimmy Neutron to you about having your own lab. God damn it!
I thought that was a Freudian slip. I was trying to help you.
You set me up.
Well, I like that.
You
She's
set
on
me
my
up for
team.
absolute failure.
Oh, that's so sour. Oh.
That's such a bad taste. I'm going to brush my teeth again.
All right, I'm really happy with this one. I think I've absolutely nailed the characters in this one. All right.
Okay.
So your pink mark, knowledge, wise enough to listen. You got Lucy I can never say the last name. Lucy Pevensey from the Chronicles of Narnia. She's the really young one. Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter. Jar Jar Binks from Star Wars. Or Timon and Pumbaa from The Lion King.
This was hard for me to choose because I like so many of them.
Yeah. So Luna Lovegood, Lucy, Jar Jar Binks, or Timon and Pumbaa.
Please let me get this one right.
Interesting.
I don't know if I can do any more sour spray. Struggling.
Well, now my bias for Harry Potter, you know, like Luna would be cool.
So,
I'm gonna go with Luna.
so you're going to go with Luna?
I feel like I'm not supposed to go with Luna.
Yeah.
If that's who,
Timon and Pumbaa, the one you want me to go with, isn't it? They're just not quite smart enough,
Yeah.
are they?
Well, in the book, the pink marks are a bit like more jestery as well. So I was trying to think
Yes.
of like airy but funny. Like when you watch all of these characters on screen, they're all a little bit funny.
Yes.
Besides probably Lucy, but Lucy's that kind of like quirky, like kind of knowledgeable, but no one kind of listens to her because she's young. So anyway,
Yes.
this is the tough one, I reckon. This is the tough one.
yeah.
It's very hard. So there's so many different characters it could be. The pink mark is almost like there isn't a common theme between them. Like they are so different.
Yeah.
But they have to have a bunch of useless facts that nobody needs.
Mm.
So Timon and Pumbaa might be like Hakuna Matata just isn't going to cut it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's too much. Yeah, everyone should be living by that. So the answer is?
It's going to have to be the Harry Potter one. Luna Lovegood.
Oh, no.
Luna.
Let's go.
Hey.
Jar Jar.
That's good.
I mean, I just thought of it, like you said, like wisdom, but goofy and nobody listens to, and just like somehow manages to like
True.
always kind of
It's
just
true.
be there and survive. I was like, oh, Jar Jar, like,
There's some really cool theories too that like Jar Jar is actually the Sith Lord.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Vince
pretty.
White can never be Jar Jar.
I can't move on to my white yet because you need to spray up, big boy. The ASMR, you can hear the sprays through the mic as well.
It's making my eye twitch. It's not nice.
That's awesome.
It's not nice.
It makes me so happy. All right, Tia, your last coloured mark is the white mark. They are the innocent. I'm going to give you 5 instead of 4, and you've got to pick 2, okay? So you're going to pick 2 people here, or 2 characters. So you've got Boo from Monsters, Inc., Piglet from Winnie the Pooh, Olaf from Frozen, Togepi from Pokemon, or Wendy from Peter Pan. We have to get both right. Otherwise, we spray up.
I've got absolutely
Both?
punished.
Yeah, we have to pick
Oh my
both.
goodness.
So Boo from Monsters Inc., Piglet from Winnie the Pooh, Olaf Frozen, Togepi from Pokemon, and Wendy from Peter Pan.
Wait, isn't Boo the little kid?
Boo's the little kid.
The little girl, yeah, from Monsters Inc. Yeah.
My gosh. That's criminal.
But these
And
are
the last
these are
option?
the innocent ones, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they're innocent. You've got to protect these. You got to get them to the end or you're not getting off the planet. You know how the game works. You wrote it. I don't need to tell you
There you
that.
go. Okay, one is it has to be Boo.
Okay.
Just-
all right, well, I already lose.
Yeah,
I'm
But
out.
she's not gonna be a red mark. What's her job gonna be?
Yeah, I don't know.
She's not gonna make it.
You just put her in your backpack or something.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get her out of
Probably safer to cage her and just drag her along, to be honest.
that. It's a bit
And
violent.
then Piglet.
Oh, Boo and Piglet. You know what? I went with Wendy because I was like, Wendy can like walk and talk. So it's like, can kind of chat.
She's just too. She could be something else. She's old enough to not be a white mark.
Okay.
You
That's
don't
probably-
have to be a young kid. It's just a given that you're going to be a little innocent.
A little bit more innocent. Yeah. And I went with Togepi because I was like, man, if Togepi can do some kind of like Pokemon move, like it's a bit of a benefit.
I went with the exact same as you.
Wendy and Togepi.
Yeah, I went Togepi and Wendy because I was like, well,
Oh no!
you know, Wendy's great, but I was like, yeah, Togepi's just like super innocent, just waddles behind everybody, just like has its little arms. It's like, I was
It's
like,
hard.
yeah, it'd be perfect. Well, that was an absolute shocker for me.
Yeah.
Tia, thank you very much.
No, I got to cop this too.
You guys did really well. You might be the most knowledgeable people I've ever met about this book.
Thank you.
Sorry for my face.
The compliment has
Right now.
never come at a worse time.
Oh god.
All right. Well, that was a bit of fun. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome.
We'll put up a little bit of a poll. Would she survive it off the planet? And maybe we can put it towards our listeners as well. They can let us know who their team would be.
I love that.
Yeah, you're obviously the black mark.
Yeah, she's John. So,
Yeah.
is there someone you'd change out with yourself? Is there someone that you think could do a better job
I've been John.
at being John? Yeah. Is there someone?
He's like my subconscious. You know, when I
So,
feel like
yeah.
I'm not being a good person. Like, what would John do? It's hard. You have to meet somebody who will actually keep all the kids alive and not just lose their temper.
Yeah, that's fair. I think if I was to like bucket myself, I would probably be a yellow mark. I reckon I'd be like the first yellow mark on the planet because
Yeah.
I don't think I'm smart enough for the blues. I'm not very strong. I'm not very intimidating, so I'm definitely not a red. I am very greeny, but I was sick last week, so I don't think I'd survive in the elements.
Yeah,
I'd be more
that's
of
fair.
I'd just be more of like a rah because I'm not a pink either. I'm a yellow mark. There you go.
I don't know if you are. I think you're giving yourself too much credit.
All right, well,
Hey, it's possible.
that now we are going to move on to our last segment. This is our rapid fire questions. So we have some ultimatums here, and you have to tell us which one you'd pick. Now, these are very tailored to you, Tia. So
The first couple are for sure.
yeah.
And then we just got some generic ones at the end.
These are not meant to be easy. So
Oh no.
question number 1, okay. Would you rather Alfie have the ability to talk or Satan have the ability to type and control your socials?
You're referring to my old cat.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Alfie would have to be able to talk.
Alfie would have to be able to talk.
It would consist out of constantly screaming it for attention. He's like right there at my door right now, but locked out. So he can see me though. There's a cage.
Yeah.
She would be like, give me attention, give me food.
Love it.
That doesn't sound like cats at all.
No, that's the dog.
Alfie,
Oh, is
the
that?
cat would ruin my career essentially with a single tweet.
Yeah, just imagine how blunt the cat would be on every response. It would just
I'd get banned from some countries, I think.
it would be over.
Not on Twitter. You can say whatever you want on Twitter.
Yeah.
True.
Or X as it's now known.
X.
Okay. All right, Tia. Would you like unlimited supply of sushi for your whole life Or would you rather travel back in time millions of years ago? You have 2 days with the dinosaurs where you're completely safe. Nothing can happen to you, but you can never eat sushi again.
I can never eat sushi again.
Never eat sushi again. But you get to have 2 days with the dinosaurs.
No, sushi.
Sushi.
Sorry, you lost me there.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I'm not giving that up.
Yeah.
I was even considering picking sushi if you didn't cancel sushi for the rest of my life with the dinosaurs.
Yeah, right.
Sushi.
Okay.
It'd be unreal though. Imagine being able to go back to spend like 2 days with dinosaurs and just sort of see what it was like back then. But yeah, not even a question when sushi is going to be off the table.
Yeah.
You summoned my cat by
Hey.
they could like write things on Twitter.
And then it just starts typing like
You know that like paranormal like ticker starts to happen to the screen.
Yeah.
She's like, come on guys, look at my butt. There we go.
Very cat-like.
Absolutely. You have to wake up before 7 a.m. every day for the rest of your life, but you can continue playing Disney Lorcana, or you get to have sleep-ins past 7, but you can never play Disney Lorcana ever again.
Sleep-ins past 7.
And you will just find a new game.
It's the stream away, man. It's the stream away, right? Like that's.
I know.
You have to remember, I travel internationally almost every month. If you force me jet lagged into a country and make me wake up at 7, that would be very bad. Because it's not 7, is it? It's like 2 a.m. really in Tia time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to play Disney anymore. I would just die.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a loophole there, I guess.
Yeah. I try like set a bedtime for like 10, 10:30, 11 most nights, but then I'm up at 2 a.m. like sorting cards and I'm like, wow, here we are again. Like,
you want to come sort some cards here? My room's a mess.
I know that collector life though. You'll sort those cards and then it'll be clean for a day and then more cards just come in the next day. So
that's what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
All right. And the last one from me here is, would you rather have 30 minutes with yourself 10 years ago or 10 years in the future?
Ooh. Interesting. Well, I don't... See, now my future self could give me advice during this meeting. So
and you go
think about it.
Yeah.
Do I want advice or do my younger self need advice? I could only imagine I would take it with my older self. Since I am already here right now, I've turned out well enough to know I'll survive no matter what. Like a few good words to my younger self isn't going to change anything. It might give me the wrong idea and I don't end up where I am right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So maybe my older self could give me real-time advice right now about like lottery tickets.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That would benefit me right now.
Yeah. It's
I would do the same though. I would speak to my future self.
Yeah.
Rather than my younger self.
Come in with a bit of a prep
kind of
talk.
from the same standpoint that Tia mentioned. Like, I've turned out all right. I don't want to.
Yeah, you don't know if you're going to turn out all right.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to go back and stuff that up. I'd rather go forwards and see where they're at.
Yeah.
And go, ooh, must have done something wrong there. Let's avoid that.
Yeah.
As we continue on this journey.
I think they're both kind of fraught with danger because you could see something in the future that just makes no sense. And then all you're doing is thinking about that as well. So
I would rather not have either if I had a choice.
Yeah, good shout. Good, yeah.
In the real world, in this sense, you don't have to do either. Complete hypothetical.
Yes.
Third option is just 4 sushi rolls. You can just eat 4 sushi rolls and avoid those.
Eat some sushi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sushi.
Now, some more generic ones. Disneyland or Disney World? Now, I was assuming you've been to both.
She hasn't been to LA.
So I've been to France. It would be Disney World.
Now, is that the one that's in Orlando?
Yep.
Yeah. Is that one they're building
Disney
Harry
World.
Potter World at?
There's Universal.
Harry
Potter's, Universal.
Right.
But
have to go to that.
Disney World's got like the Animal Kingdom and Epcot, like international foods.
Yeah.
It's really big, really, really big.
It's amazing. It's not about the rides. It's like the experience is just so cool.
Yeah. It's about the turkey leg that you eat, and it's like 500 grams of just pure turkey. You like feel sick after it.
Is it meant to look like, on cartoons where they've got the bone and that big hunk of meat? Is it meant to look like that? Literally. Is that the idea?
It's like that little while you're eating it in the background.
Yeah. Summer or winter? Which do you prefer?
Normally I'd say winter, but I noticed that every year during my exams, I just become super sad and melancholy. And I realized that's just because it's seasonal depression or something. It's being inside while it rains constantly and it's dark. It's not good. Like, if I could, I would go to the other side of the world every time it's winter and then be constantly in the sun. Summer is what I like.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm a sucker for being inside with the rain. I love it when it's rainy and stormy.
A little bit.
But again, not
months.
I agree with you on that for sure. That I definitely appreciate when summer does come and you get to go outside.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for summer, but I have really like fair skin, and here in Australia we don't have an ozone layer, so I just like have to wear sunscreen. Even like driving in a car, it's really bad.
Yeah, Tia, is that like a crazy thought for you? Like Australia doesn't have an ozone layer. Like we've somehow burnt through our ozone layer, and it just
Is that true? I feel like you were joking.
No, well, look, I think the reality is there is an ozone layer there, but it's very thin. Like our sun is super, super strong. In terms of, melanoma and UV is really, really high in Australia. So skin cancer is like a huge thing here.
I thought you were just like higher in Celsius. Like obviously you get more sun than like mid Africa would get more sun.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it was the ozone layer per se.
Yeah, no, it is, because even on our very overcast days, and it might only be 21, 22, if the UV's high, somebody like Lee in particular will get sunburnt quite easily.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whereas I can go to Europe and it's, 25, 30, 35 degrees and you don't get sunburnt.
Yeah, it's totally different.
But here in Australia, I don't know the science behind it. I'd love to hypothesize it has something to do with Antarctica though. Like the reflection kind of burning through maybe. That's my...
Antarctica?
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 Yeah, I said it right, didn't I?
You said Antarctica?
Did I?
Antarctica?
Oh,
I don't recall.
Played that very well. I don't recall. So the other thing we do, Tia, is on our other episodes, we have a thing called the Hobby Rumble, and that's where Lee and I debate either sides of an argument. Now, the last one was who is the greater Disney princess, and it was Cinderella versus Elsa, which is basically a battle of new and old, I would say. And I made a very compelling argument. Lee had an easier job because it's a modern princess. It's far more relevant now. And the younger generation have really adopted to her, whereas Cinderella basically brought the Disney studios back from the brink of collapse after World War II in the 1950s, and still is relevant today with a story of hope and whatnot. And now our listeners have voted, and they still have some time to vote. But it's currently 50-50 on whether it's Cinderella or Elsa. So whoever you say counts for 2 extra votes. And we'd love for you to elaborate on who it is, whether it is Cinderella or Elsa as the ultimate Disney princess.
Cinderella.
That was so easy.
Do I get to have a pitch at all, or can you sit there and talk about Cinderella for 30 seconds?
I didn't pitch.
I didn't pitch. You had a Cinderella pitch in there.
No, I didn't.
Cinderella, 2 votes. I'm not going to catch up from that. I'm currently 0-3, by the way. I keep losing these, even though I'm convinced I have way better arguments than him.
Obviously not.
I just heard World War II, and I mean, how can you not vote for Cinderella after that?
See, Lee?
What did Elsa do? Make girls obsessed with Let It Go as a song.
Yeah, see, there we go. She gets it.
I would just say one thing, and it's Elsa empowers women to not rely on men. Like all the other Disney princesses, they rely on men to come and save them. Elsa has magical powers.
Incorrect. Cinderella didn't rely on a man to come and save her. she got out of that situation and had a fairy godmother who was another woman, by the way.
She threw herself at him.
No, mate. See, this is where these go, Tia. But yeah, he's got
I hear you.
Cinderella.
Now the arguments are coming through.
Cinderella is correct. That is the right answer.
She's got a sisterly love. It's all right. I'm going to lose this one. I'll go to 0-4, and I'm just going to have to keep doing punishments.
Yep. That's it.
Cinderella's just more iconic. I don't know. I feel like the Taylor Swifties, it's like the same thing. Like too much hype for Elsa makes me not like Elsa very much.
Yeah, well, I've never seen Frozen, so I don't even know. I mean, I know who she is, but I don't understand the story.
I saw the first one, but it just irked me that because I have a sister, so you have cool powers. You touch your sister once, and she gets like a little snow streak, and then you lock yourself in a castle forever. It's like, how is that a realistic reaction? Your sister just wants to spend time with you, and you're like, no, I'm dangerous. Like,
well, there we go. See,
it's still a good movie.
I just learned more about Frozen than ever before.
It's what a great story about sacrifice. She was afraid of her abilities. She didn't want to hurt anyone else. When you're still listening to this, make sure if you haven't voted, you do go vote
for Cinderella.
Vote with your heart. Vote with who
for Cinderella.
Cinderella. What about the little animals and the little rats and who are friends, or the mice?
Yeah, the mice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that Three Blind Mice? Is that Cinderella, or are they different mice?
Three Blind Mice is a
different mice.
Rhyme.
Different mice.
Yeah, these are different.
Yeah. No, she has all these little helpers, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cinderella goes to the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, like when she's getting ready, and there's like some birds and some mice and stuff, and
everybody's mean to her.
There's heaps going on.
I mean, all that aside, we do appreciate both of those, but they're still not our favorite princesses anyway.
No, my actual favorite princess is it's a tough one because one's a princess, one isn't. One is my favorite princess is Jasmine from Aladdin. I just think she's amazing. I just maybe had a crush on her growing up. I don't know. But then Meg from Hercules, I also absolutely love, just as a Disney, like a female Disney character, and what she sort of embodied in that movie as well.
Yeah, I'm Belle. I just love the Beauty and the Beast story. And when I went to all the chateaus up in Paris, and then that Be Our Guest song, that was like one of my favorite songs, growing up.
Isn't that like the definition of a girl in an abusive relationship? And here you're telling people to vote for Elsa.
Tia, no.
You took my dad captive. I'm gonna stay behind and love you, Stockholm Syndrome style.
No.
She's done what I've been trying to do for 7 episodes. She's called you out.
I don't know.
She's called you out, mate. She's called you out.
I don't know.
And on that's a great way to end. I wish we could honestly absorb all of your time because this has been a great chat, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do next and in the future, and definitely, hopefully, getting you to come down to Australia for some event, because it would be great to have you a part of that, to meet you in person, and to probably lose to you in a game of Lorcana.
Yes, well, I mean, I would try to win really hard, but I can't make promises, though.
If you do end up coming down here and we know, I guarantee you we're smashing at least 200 games before you get here. So
we'd just be playing Lorcana flat out.
We want you to know that we take the competition very seriously as well.
Very seriously.
I understand. I have a duty to destroy you in this game.
So also, before we let you go, are you going to go to that tournament in Chicago this weekend, or?
Yeah, so that's the plan, though. I can feel a flu-like cold coming. Like you said, I just came back from South Africa after coming from Atlanta in America. So I had like face-to-face contact with hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So if I had to sit this one out, hopefully not, I want to go to the one in Germany in Bochum.
Cool.
It's July. So I think that would be really cool.
Well, if you do go, we wish you all the best. We hope that if you compete, you dominate. If you cast, you'll absolutely smash it. But again, just wanted to thank you from the bottom of our hearts and on behalf of Australia for your time. And hopefully this isn't the last time we see you on the Hobby Podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was such a professional setup. Genuinely, like I haven't had this much fun on a podcast for a while. So I hope you guys do really well. And I can't wait to watch the podcast back on social media.
Awesome.
No, thank you.
That's a good shout, actually. On where can people find you on all your socials?
Oh, just Thea Booysen. Or if you want to watch me doing Disney, it would be Thea Beastie on YouTube, Twitch. Yeah.
No, fantastic. We'll share all that in the description anyway.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
But thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Bye.
Now, a quick word from our show sponsor, Lunar Cards. They're a group of 5 owners and TCG community administrators with over 60 years of combined experience in the hobby.
The new Lunar Cards eBay store is just fired up, Dean, with hundreds of weekly auctions for all TCGs. They do specialize in high-end and vintage Pokemon cards, so go along, get in on the action. Don't miss out on the goodies at Lunar Cards AU on eBay. They also have consignment services that have just launched as well, offering an incredibly easy way to sell off any of those items that no longer suit your collection without any hassle or headaches. Hit them up to secure your spot, because I know the boys said the quarter is really busy at the moment.
I like that. Consignment. I like that. I might actually get around that. Lunar Cards is now offering grading direct to and from PSA, with group sends to PSA twice every month. So you can now get your cards graded quicker than ever. They're Australia's highest volume TCG graders, nearing 100,000 cards graded by the owners in the last few years. The Bentley store has a massive variety of TCG product on offer, with a huge range of mixed vintage and modern TCGs, pops, and sports cards.
They're also heavily involved in the play communities, hosting play events like Grand Archive, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, as well as One Piece. They also have their monthly in-store trade days, which see hundreds of collectors come to trade their cards. So if you're a Vic local or traveling through the area, make sure you stop in and join the ever-growing community of Lunar Cards.
Yep, that's right. Be sure to pop in and experience the moon landing, located at 512A Centre Road, Bentley.
Make sure you go follow all of their socials. Their website is lunarcards.com.au. That is LUNACARDS.com.au. And their Facebook and Instagram, Lunar Cards AU.
Wow. Another amazing episode with undoubtedly an astonishing guest. Tia, that was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was really special. And behind the scenes, to get to this episode, it took lots of reschedules on our behalf. I got
on
sick.
Lee's behalf.
I got sick. So really thankful for her
her time.
What a great conversation.
What a phenomenal human being.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where she goes. With all those studies that she's doing.
Absolutely, man. She provided us. She allowed us to provide you guys a great insight into her life in South Africa, moving beyond that, study, education, author, writing, e-casting, streaming. She mentioned she'll be moving into some philanthropy as well. And feeling guilty when she's not being productive. That's inspiring stuff.
Yeah.
That's inspiring stuff.
That feeling guilty when you're not productive is something I know a lot of people feel as well, and the fact that she's been able to nurture that into things that she enjoys doing with learning and whatnot. Thank you for bringing up the fact she's an author, guys. The Mark Children.
Read.
Make sure you go check that out on Amazon.
Third book in my life I've actually read. Yeah. I read one book in high school for a book report, and then after that you could just Google them. So I stopped reading them. And then one of my mates, Dargsy, he wrote a book, and I've read that. And then that is the only other one.
The only one, yeah. But make sure you do go along and get it. It is a good read.
And check it out. Yep. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, what we will mention is our next episode is of the usual format. So please do, in the description, go down to the SpeakPipe link, click on that and call into the show. Let us know if you actually have any questions for Tia. She said that she will make herself available for us for any sort of questions and anything in the future. I think she's going to be a really good friend of the show, and we're super grateful and stoked to have that. So if you have questions for her, feel free to leave them on the SpeakPipe link. Call up, leave it there. We will pre-listen to it and we will reach out and get those answers so we can provide them on that next episode. That'd be really, really cool, actually. Instead of just engaging with us, you can start engaging with our guests.
Yeah.
So that'll be super fun. So don't forget to do that. Don't forget to go to our Instagram and vote for the Hobby Rumble. Cinderella versus Elsa. Tia has spoken. Cinderella is the queen. So that means that Cinderella is currently in the lead. I'd probably say it must be 60% to 40% based on her getting 2 votes. So don't forget to do that. And please go to our Instagram immediately at @the_hobby_pod. You will see a post. It is to win a free sealed booster box of Disney Lorcana. 3 simple steps. You got to be subscribed here. You got to follow our Instagram, and you've got to be following her on Twitch. It's all in the post.
Twitter.
On Twitter. Sorry, on Twitter. Yes, on Twitter. And you should be following her on Twitch anyway, because what she does is phenomenal. And then, within 3 weeks, we will draw a winner that is following on all 3 platforms, and we will ship that booster box no matter where you are on the planet, even if you are in Antarctica.
Yes.
Not Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Even if you live down there and you're tuning into the Hobby Podcast, that is our first giveaway as a podcast, and we're super excited to do so. So, Colonel, if you've got anything else to add?
Absolutely nothing, mate. I'm still pinching myself, to be honest.
Nah, good job, mate. You asked some ripper questions as usual. You might have a job in a C grade journalism station in the future.
C's better than D. I'll take it.
Yeah, well,
only up from here.
Only up from here. Yeah. This E grade podcast. Yeah. Actually, we'll call it a H grade because we are the Hobby Podcast. But
I like it.
That is Wheels Up, guys, and we are out of here. Don't forget to follow all our socials, and we will see you on the next one.